Clara Barton was born in 1821 in Massachusetts. She had a very practical childhood, spending her early years as a bookkeeper and a clerk for her older brother. When she was older, she became a teacher, a position she held for several years even though at the time most of the teachers were still men, and even opened her own school in New Jersey in 1853. In 1854, however, she moved to Washington, D.C. and took a job in a patent office as a clerk, until her anti-slavery views made people feel she was too controversial, and she moved back home, where she continued to volunteer for charitable causes. However, at the outbreak of the war, Barton had moved back to Washington, D.C., and when the war began, she was one of the first volunteers at the Washington Infirmary to care for the soldiers. As the war raged on, she became known as the Angel of the Battlefield, for the help she gave to all the soldiers when she helped as a nurse.
Sir, are all of these supplies at my disposal?
Yes, I believe so, miss.
Really? But it's so poorly equipped. There's hardly any supplies in here, and it's not even close to enough that the Union needs.
I think that's all we have.
Oh, and another thing. Why are there so few blankets and clothes and food for the soldiers? They need so much more.
I'm not sure, but I think that's all we have.
Well, I'll just have to fix that. Hello, my name is Clara Barton, and I'm trying to collect supplies for the Union soldiers on the battlefield. If you would be so kind as to donate food and other things for the men, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for your contribution. I went pretty well today. They seemed happy enough to help the soldiers. Indeed. The supply list has already gone up very well. We have a lot of supplies already. Yes, but we need much more to feed the Union. Do you have enough room? Your house is already filled up enough, Clara. Yes, I have enough room. But I'm worried about if the soldiers have enough to eat and medical supplies. Both are in good quantity so far. Good. Are the girls still up to helping? Yes. In fact, I believe some are stopping by today. Great. They can serve in the battlefields of Maryland and Virginia. Doctor, I have some supplies for you.
Mrs. Barton, we are fine as is. We don't need any supplies whatsoever.
Oh, I believe you do.
Although they disliked her at first, doctors and other military men grew to depend on her, for both her supplies and her organizational skills.
May I accompany you and your troop, sir? I can be a nurse and supply you with things like clothing and food.
Of course, Miss Barton. It would be a pleasure.
All right, so if the soldier isn't breathing, or his heart has stopped, or both, then you're going to have to perform first aid. The first thing you need to do is... Alright, so now I'm going to teach you how to prepare food for the wounded. Now, to prepare food for the wounded is to take great care, and because they are already hurt, so you must take care that they are well fed. Now, the first thing I will teach you...
Barton followed the Union Army, helping to aid with the Union casualties and Confederate prisoners. Barton also comforted the soldiers as well and talked with them, and wrote letters from home for them as well. She learned a lot about the men, and also found that she had known some of them previous to the start of the war. As she spoke to the men, she learned of all the soldiers and their regiments. Nearing the end of the war, she found herself writing to families who had inquired about missing men throughout the war. After the war, Clara Barton founded the Red Cross, after a trip to Geneva, Switzerland, which helped trace missing soldiers. Barton was 60 years old when she founded the Red Cross, and after a decade or so, finally stepped down in 1904. She died in 1912 at the age of 91.